what people's relationship with money typically is. If you talk about the average person and their relationship with money through the prism of the profile, what would you say that looks like?
Yeah, I love that we're talking about the fact that we all have this relationship with money, because we have one, whether we're aware of it or not. Some of us have worked really hard to be in a healthy relationship with money. All the things that you've talked about on your previous financial podcasts, where we're intentional about how we use our money to build wealth and fuel our version of the good life. However, most of us start with a really unhealthy, reactive relationship with money, and all these different messages that keep coming at us, trying to tell us how we should spend our money, how we should feel about money. Our relationship with money is directly tied to that aesthetic and that pragmatic definition of what money means to us, because it means different things to different people. And we have to first acknowledge that, or else it is going to cause destruction. Money mismanagement is 41% of the causes of divorces. And I know you were given that data earlier. It will wreck you if you do not address it. And most of us, when we're feeling that weight, when we're feeling that shame, we want to avoid it. We don't want to talk about it. We want to pretend. Again, money means freedom of choice or enjoyment of life. It can mean stability or security or peace of mind. But I think the thing that we need to remember is that most of the time, we all want something very similar. It's the primary motivation for how we're approaching it. It's the story that you share about work. We all want to create the way to impact and improve the lives of people, to create the good life for others. But the aesthetics are going to approach it from one direction. The pragmatics are going to approach it from a different direction. And if we're not talking about it, we are going to miss and fall into a trap where our decision making is not determined any longer by what serves us. We're just making these reactive decisions. I was working with a really strong, pragmatic client. He built a super successful business. We'd been working together though for about 6 months, and he was pretty resistant about giving me visibility into his company financials. Kept saying, he was the only one that knew that information, but his accounts were sound. I didn't need to worry about it. Well, as you can imagine, I'm sitting here trying to coach somebody without any visibility, think about driving. You're in a car, you're going in a direction, but the glass is foggy. There's only so much good you're going to be able to do. So we had a
feedback,
conversation. You're right, exactly. We had a conversation one day where I just asked him if that same resistance that he held about opening up and disclosing about his financials bled into any other aspects of his life. As a true pragmatist, he really kind of wanted to think about it and give it some time. So right before our next coaching session, though, I received an email from him, and the subject line just said, financials, full visibility. And in that session, we unpacked every element of his business and personal finances that day. He was right. They were super sound. But there was something about that openness and that vulnerability that is harder for some pragmatics that just broke the dam in our coaching dynamic. We were able to use his unique strengths to really make sure that money was fueling his life and do the deep work. We outlined the retirement strategy that he needed to put in place to make that happen. And in less than 2 years, he got his great team to keep the daily ops of the business going. He was able to work as much or as little as he wanted, depending upon what was going on in that season of life for his family. He paid off his home early. He and his wife bought an RV with cash so that they were able to, frequently go on these spontaneous road trips together. But what really struck me about that work together is that he said that day he opened up his books to his wife.
Wow.
And felt this tremendous weight drop where he had been bearing the sole responsibility for their financial house. And after these series of conversations, their marriage and their relationships, the floodgates opened for deeper connection, deeper intimacy, because They were doing life together and talking about things that are so hard to chat about sometimes.
And I can so relate to that, because we all, especially with men, we think we're supposed to be John Wayne. And I'm supposed to be the provider and so on and so forth. And, there's always the stereotypes, my wife's in the shopping Olympics and this and that and the other. And it's like, oh, she spends and I make and I have to be the responsible one. And you can have it vice versa, by the way. You can also have the woman be in that role and the man, whatever spousal relationship there is. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of times, especially I think for men, we think we're supposed to know this. Like we're supposed to somehow have come out of the womb with this.
Yep.
And, for me, like I've become, as you well know, and I teach on finances, thousands of people show up to listen to it. We have ballrooms full of people and they're all locked in. And one of the reasons is because it wasn't a natural gift for me. It wasn't something that I came to, I wasn't trained in it, I wasn't raised in it. I didn't get it in my high school or college education. I learned it because, how can I be out of money? I still have checks. I'm spending more money than I'm making, and I don't like this tension. And when you have negative experiences in your life financially, you go to work. And I went to work on something that was such a weakness that it became an uber strength, which is, again, hope and encouragement for everybody here. Thanks for watching. If you want more tips on how to think, feel, and do better, check out these videos too. Oh, by the way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave us a like if you enjoyed the content.